ICS. I don't know. Am I supposed to start with a fun fact? I didn't get that memo, but I think you guys already had the answer to this one. It's how many times, if you were to fold a piece of paper in half 42 times, how tall would it be? You'd go to the moon. Never heard that. Anyway, it's truly an honor to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. It really is. And I remember I got the news over around Christmas break, and I went to visit my dad, and he was the first person I told. And I told him I'm being inducted into the Computer Science Hall of Fame for UCI. And he looked at me with just all this pride in his eyes, and he looked at me and goes, "Why you?" I was thinking, because I'm awesome. But I wasn't always awesome. And in high school, I struggled with C's. I barely got out of there with a C average. And I remember sophomore year, he was driving me to school, and he was probably grasping at straws. What am I going to do with this kid? He's the last of 5. I just need to get him to 18 and I'll be good. And he goes, "What about computers?" And I'm like, "Computers, what's that?" And I ended up going to a computer camp, because it's a really sexy thing to do for teenagers, go to computer camp during the summer. And I fell in love with programming. And when I got back I guess I'd be a junior, I took the only class that my high school offered for programming. And we actually used punch cards to program. And this is when they were already outdated. It's not like it was that long ago. And so I wanted more. So I went to a junior college at night. I took night courses in college because I was such an overachiever. And I took night classes in like programming, Fortran, and some other outdated languages. And it was pretty impressive for a high school kid to do that. And that's usually where the story ends. But the truth be told, I got a D. So I ended up going to a JC. I went to a junior college, and I got my grades up, and I got my language requirements fulfilled, and I got into UCI. But I didn't get into the ICS program. I got into economics, which I loved, but I really wanted to also pursue computer science. And even at that time, it was a very competitive, very impacted program. And they worked with me. They said, if you get these grades, you do these things, and here's your path to get into this program. And it was very difficult for me, but I worked very hard. And that difficult that path was, it just made me really appreciate being there, and it felt really impressive to be part of something this big. And they had wonderful professors who I see out here tonight. It's just what they taught us was just phenomenal. But they also gave us the ability to do research and actual work in AI and software engineering. And it was actually that work, the software engineering stuff, oddly enough, that got me into the visual effects industry. Because at the time, it's not just all fun and artsy-fartsy. It was all scripting and programming. And even my first thing I did was writing flocking algorithms and software for Batman, which got cut from the movie. But I remember at the time, the rendering, we used RenderMan, and it was just all kind of a C-based scripting language. It was all very techy. And there was only one guy who knew it at the studio I was working at, and he one day quit. And so it just fell into my lap, and there, overnight I went from programmer to kind of artist. From there I went to Sony, that was just developing their visual effects company, and it was almost like foxhole programming. It was just spaghetti code, and we were coding up for huge blockbusters like Anaconda and everyone's favorite Starship Troopers. But Contact was pretty good. Contact is nice, and I created this pipeline for just basically, it's boring, but it's just taking stuff from this package to this package out to this package. But and I remember afterwards, everyone's like, "Well, this should be our standard." And I go, "Are you kidding me? Like, if my professors saw this stuff, they would cringe." I mean, the commenting alone on it would get me back to that C average. And I remember for years after that, I worked with the the software department, using my software engineering prowess, we developed a pipeline that they still use today. And I remember my goal was, I want to take a lot of this technology out. I want most of our time to be spent in the artistry and imagery. But 20 years later, still to this day, we're always pushing those boundaries. It's always very technical. I'm always relying back on those things that I learned here. It was last summer, the head of special projects for Warner Brothers, they're doing all this AR, VR, MR stuff. And they're looking at coming up with a standardization of data acquisition, usability, future proofing, storage, and et cetera. And they wanted to come up with a spec that the whole industry would adopt. So who do they call? Call this guy. and it's because of my software engineering background. It truly was. So I mean, what's the point? Where am I going? I think opportunity favors the prepared, and I'm paraphrasing Louis Pasteur, but UCI gave me that opportunity. They gave me the opportunity to turn my education around. They gave me the opportunity to get into the visual effects business. And it was the ICS department that prepared me for the challenges that I'd meet head on and be successful in it. So I'm truly grateful, and I want to thank everybody on behalf of all the inductees for this honor. And thank you for making this all awesome. Thank you.